Hey everybody, Austin back again, continuing this Castlevania Let's Play Marathon. Today we're revisiting the Game Boy with Castlevania Adventure 2, or in this case I think they actually changed the name and it's just literally Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. Not to be confused with Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest from the 8-bit Nintendo. Now, this game actually fixes a lot of the issues that the first Castlevania Adventure had on the original Game Boy. If you guys watched that Let's Play with me a little while back, you could probably tell by the end of the video I was rather frustrated with the game. Oops, I didn't mean to skip through that. Oh well, we'll just get into the game. Sorry. No story today, guys. But basically what happens in the first Castlevania Adventure is if you get hit, your whip gets downgraded. There are no secondary items, so there's no axe, no cross, no holy water, no dagger, no nothing like that. And the game is very sluggish, you know, the visuals are kind of basic, but I don't really give it fault for that. It's a very early Game Boy game. And the game's short, it's only 4 levels long. And it's also extremely frustrating on levels 3 and 4. This game fixes a lot of that. For one, the first 4 stages really aren't that difficult at all, which is actually kind of nice. It's a welcome change compared to the original Castlevania Adventure. But also, this is more of a quote-unquote legit Castlevania game. You have your secondary items are back in. You can actually swing your whip while you're on ropes, which you could not do in the first game. It's a more lenient power-up system overall. They bring back the regular hearts from the classic NES games, where they actually provide your ammunition for your secondary items, and so forth. Overall, it's a much more thorough and involved and, I'd say, better game than the first one. So, one thing I do like about this game, though, is kind of like Mega Man, and I mentioned this in my Castlevania Adventure Let's Plays, you can pick whichever stage you want to start off with. Once you complete these 4 stages, you go to Dracula's castle, you finish 2 more levels after that, and then you finish the game. Although, I don't know if I'm actually going to finish this game, because Dracula, I think, in this game is actually harder than Dracula in the first game. Maybe not harder, but he's a pain, and you'll see once we get there. I will get there, but I don't know if I will actually beat Dracula, so we'll see. Okay, so pretty much right off the bat, if you've seen the first game, you could probably already tell that the visuals are a little bit better in this one. You got moving water on the bottom, which you did not have before. Much like Castlevania 3, it actually affects, you know, your walking speed and so forth, which is pretty cool. And, you know, it's just some nice detailed visuals overall. You got some pretty decent backgrounds, reminiscent again of Castlevania 3, and it's good stuff. So, alright, see, we've already got the axe, which was not in Castlevania Adventure, so just like the classic Castlevania games, you can press up and B to use that. And what is great about this game is that when you get hit, you do not lose your whip power, just like you did in the other one. Now, this game is still slow. It's not the fastest Castlevania game you will have ever played, but there is very, very little slowdown in this game. And, you know, despite it's still kind of moving a little bit slow, it still plays very well. There are these reptile things in the ground I was telling you about. You have to be careful, as usual, just like in the first game. But they definitely aren't as tough in this game as they were in the other one. The balls they shoot out, they don't bounce as fast in this one, which is definitely a welcome addition. You still have the eyeballs from the first game. Now, one thing you'll notice is you can actually go down your ropes faster, and all you have to do is just hold the jump button while you're on the rope, and you can dash down the rope. It's very, very nice, and it's actually mandatory to use it on this part, otherwise you're going to get hit by these spikes. Fortunately, spikes in this game don't kill you in one hit. They usually take about a third of your health bar away, or a little bit more than that. So you do still have to be careful around spikes, but they are not the threat that they are in the old game, which is awesome, because that game, I mean, it had some pretty tough rooms filled with spikes, and if you just accidentally touched one spike, say a spike on the ceiling, you would die in one hit, and it could get frustrating very, very fast. So, and the great thing about being able to slide down the ropes in this one is that you can sort of speed through the game a little bit quicker, which is also great. And unlike Castlevania Adventure, you can actually bash some blocks open, just like the classic Castlevania games on the NES, which is also a nice welcome addition. And there you go, there's another throwback to the old Castlevania games too, is the doors. And so this game is much more of, like I said, a legit Castlevania game, whereas Adventure was a neat little spin-off. It had some interesting little, you know, traits, but for the most part, it was kind of lacking. I mean, I like the game, I still like the game, I still enjoy it, but, you know, there are some things I really wish you were able to do in that game that you can do in this one, but you couldn't in, you know, the first Castlevania Adventure. So, and especially once you got caught up with, you know, bad enemy placement and so forth, or enemies that spawn on top of you, but you have no axe or anything like that, it is, it can get frustrating very, very fast. So, and it's like, you know, with how limited the first Castlevania is on the Game Boy, it just makes you wish that you had all the classic items and abilities and so forth. Here's a block I can bash open. What's actually kind of cool about the Fireball Whip in this one is that the Fireball goes through all walls and objects, except for enemies. However, it'll actually get stuck on a wall if it's a wall that you could break open. So you can actually use it to find walls that you can break open. And how I knew I could break that one open is that I fired my whip, and the fireball got stuck on the wall. And so that kind of, you know, made the light bulb click in my head, and I said, oh, hey, I can break that open. So I did. And breakable walls in this game are really good. A lot of times they have extra lives, a lot of times they have pieces of meat, which, just like in the other Castlevania games, refill your health, and so forth. And we're at our first boss. This is actually a relatively simple boss, not too difficult. You have to hit his crystal, and then he's going to zap some lightning bolts down. Oops, that was bad. So you can get about 3 hits off of him if you're just right. And you want to just move the opposite way of the lightning bolt, and you should be able to get away from it. It's not like it goes all the way across the screen. So I like to sort of bait it, not like that. That was a bad kind of baiting. Kind of like so. Now, hopefully by the last stage I'll have a bunch of extra lives, maybe 5, 6, 7 lives, assuming I don't die on my way to the final stage in the game. I like to keep as many lives as I can because, well, if you get a game over in this game, you have to go back to a checkpoint earlier on in the stage, farther back than the checkpoint prior to whatever boss you were at, I believe. So it's, yeah, it could be a bit of a pain, and just to avoid having to retread a lot of ground I've already covered, I don't want to have to get a game over. Now, I may very well get a game over at Dracula, because Dracula is, you'll see him once I get to him. I'm still not 100% with his pattern, so, you know, it took me like 3 or 4 continues each time to beat him, both the times I got to him last night. He's very, very tough. Not a whole lot of room to move around on him and so forth. But, yeah, I mean, I might have to use a couple continues at him. And if I end up having to use more than, like, 2 continues at him, I'll probably just give up and say, hey, you know, we're not going to beat Dracula in this Let's Play. Sorry, guys. I mean, I would really like to complete the game on video, just as I always try to do. But there are some of those games where, you know, I'm not going to sit and continue for an hour straight just to show you guys the ending. I'm sure you can go watch another Let's Play where they actually managed to finish him on the first try or something like that. Now, there are some walls you can just climb through, just like in the original Castlevania Adventure. Unfortunately, the only one I found is on the very last stage, and I don't know where any others are in this game. So, if you're very familiar with this game, if you know where all the, you know, the secret entrances are, through ropes, climbing ropes, not breaking walls open or anything like that. Let me know, post a comment below. I would definitely like to know where they are. But I will try to get to that one on the final stage. I believe it's the final stage. It's either the final stage or the second to final stage. I'm not sure. So. Now, as you guys could probably tell, this game's actually being played in black and white. And, you know, on my last Castlevania Adventure Let's Play, I had actually had the game in like some pseudo green / reddish color scheme. And that was basically the default color scheme for the Game Boy player on my GameCube, which I'm using to do this video. And a couple of you guys actually posted in the comments telling me how I could actually switch the color scheme. And so before doing this video, I actually kind of experimented with that, and I thought, hey, you know, I kind of want to do it in the original black and white. That way you can kind of see what the game looked like as if it was being played on an original Game Boy. So, oh, I didn't want to get the holy water. The holy water is really not that great in this game. The axe is your better bet. I mean, the holy water can still do some damage, but the problem is it's not nearly as powerful as it is in, say, the first or third Castlevania games. It's just, yeah. Alright, so if you see up here, if I whip to the right, the fireball actually gets stuck in the wall. That's actually a breakable wall. So a little bit trickier to do. I had to actually try it a couple times yesterday before I got it. But there I go, I got it. Hearts are always good in this game. You don't get nearly as many as you do in other Castlevania games, so it's always nice when you get a 5-er. That was a big heart. It gave me 5 hearts, but you do get the tiny 1-heart hearts in this game as well. The tiny hearts, they just kind of float down the screen, whereas the big hearts, they fall down as if they have a lot of weight to them. So I'm trying to climb up to the top of each rope. I want to see if there are any other sort of hidden rooms I can find, because the hidden rooms, they have power-ups and so forth, but they usually also have extra lives, 1-ups, things like that, so. There we go. Now, the axe and the holy water, those are the only secondary items in this game. You do not have the cross, you do not have the dagger or anything like that. So that's a bit of a shame, but I'm glad they at least took the initiative to get some of those items back in the game, because I mean, it was really tough. Well, let me go back a step. One of the things that made the first game on the Game Boy so difficult was the fact that you didn't have those secondary items. You could not attack up, and with the fact that you could not attack while you were holding on to ropes and so forth, it made your character very rigid and limited in what he could do, and you know, it kind of made the game frustrating as a result. And again, it's still a game I like to play, but it's one of those games that it's almost, I don't know. It being limited in its gameplay options just makes it more difficult than it really needs to be. And thus more frustrating than some of the other Castlevania games in the series, so. Alright, now when the music sort of cuts down like this, that means we're at the final stretch of the level, and we will be at the boss fight very soon. Yeah, don't want that holy water for this boss. Don't really want the holy water for any boss in this game, to be honest with you. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting boss. The bosses are definitely a little more involved in this game as well. This music sounds weird. It's just like down, 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 down. And it's actually because it sounds weird to me. It's probably not going to sound weird to you, because I actually only have one headphone cup in my ear, and this game uses stereo sound. So a lot of the instruments in the game are bouncing from one ear to the next, and as a result, I'm only hearing half the notes played in the game. So the game is sounding kind of different to me, because normally I don't play with, you know, one cup in my ear. I find it's actually kind of harder for me to talk if I have both headphones in, because I kind of need to hear my voice a little bit as I talk to be able to speak a little more clearly. When you have both headphones on your ear, your voice sounds much more muffled, and I'm not used to talking like that. So I try to play, when I'm doing these Let's Plays, with one earphone cup in one ear, preferably my left ear, and then I just leave the other ear open. So basically what I'm hearing is just like half of the notes being played in the game, and it sounds interesting. So we're actually making pretty good progress. We're already on stage 3, and this is, yeah, very reminiscent of the first Castlevania adventure right here. Now, actually, if I had this in color, I think it would have pointed out the ones that would have come out as well. So that actually makes it a little bit more tricky in this one. This is actually the first time I played it in black and white on my Game Boy player for the GameCube, so... Now these guys actually make an appearance from the first game as well. They are actually the first boss, or I'm not the first boss, can't even talk. They are the second boss, well, basically from the second level. So, I like that they brought some things back to this game. It gives you a sense of familiarity, which I always like, and that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about the Castlevania games. They always have a tendency to do something like that, or do things like that. That was close. If you fall down a hole where there's a rope, if you don't catch on the rope, you will die. So, something to be aware of. You always have to climb down the rope, otherwise you die. So, the coins make a return from the first game as well. They give you points. And you do get extra lives from points. I think I've already gotten 1 or 2 extra lives just from points alone. Because you start off with 2 lives, and I'm already up to 5. Alright, this part is kind of a pain. The lights start dimming and going out. And I don't want that holy water. And I honestly don't even... Oh, crap. Come on, man. Come back on. Because one of these, there's a hole in the ground on one of these, and... Right here. Okay. There's another hole right there. Yeah. Is this a secret room? Ah, a secret room. Sort of. Yeah. Nice. I didn't know about that. Okay, so that makes 2 secret rooms in the game. Yeah, I totally just went through that wall. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. Well, I'm glad I found at least the second one. I didn't know there was more than one. That's cool. Shoot. Oh, whoa, that was close. See, I'm just kind of guessing where these pits are because the lights keep going out. I think that's it. God, what a pain. Sometimes the lights keep coming back on. Sometimes they keep going off. It's... Sometimes, like, they coming off... Blah, sometimes they come on and off much more, you know, quickly. And it seems kind of random, which makes it a little frustrating. Alright, you can just duck right here and you won't get hit by the spikes. I'm just gonna take advantage of having the fireball whip and just kill those guys from a distance if I can, because what happens is if you try to attack them up close, you're at a much greater risk of getting hit and basically losing a whip power up. Because again, they're the only enemies in this game that will do that to you. So you still have to be careful about that. Fortunately, they're the only enemies that can do that to you, because in the first game, any enemy you got hit by would take away your whip, and it's just like, for the majority of the game, you were playing with the leather whip, which is really not that good. Oh, I missed them all. You can try to hit those candles as you come down, which is pretty cool. Now, this boss has 2 forms. Not a whole lot of room to move, and even if you climb up the rope, he'll jump, do his sort of projectile swipe in the air, and you'll get hit. So I like to stay on the ground for that boss. Still looking pretty good with lives, though. I've got 6 lives, which is really good, so I'll take it. Alright, last level, and then we are at Dracula's Castle. Again, this is a pretty short game. Not as short as the first Castlevania adventure, but it is still short. You can beat it in probably about 30 minutes. You know, it's got 6 stages, and then a final boss, and that's about it, so... Not too complicated. It is, you know, I like playing through the first 4 stages. I'm not as big of a fan of Dracula's Castle. It just seems... I don't know. They definitely, crank up the difficulty on Dracula's Castle. But I like the regular stages. They have, you know, a good soundtrack. This game definitely has some good music. Pretty much all the first 4 stages have pretty good music. And, you know, Dracula's Castle is just, meh. It's a little meh to me. Nothing too great, but that's just me. You might like it more than me. No secret. Don't want that. Just the axe is so much more useful in this game because there are a lot of bats, there are a lot of enemies above you, and the holy water doesn't really do anything for enemies above you, so it's really only good for enemies below you. But even with the enemies below you, you can just attack them with your whip, so... Now those bats that I just, you know, killed, they actually split apart into 2 more bats, so if you have a weak whip, I believe when you hit them they'll split into 2. With the axe though, you can kill them both at one time, which is nice. And you could jump over the eyeballs just like you could in the first game. Hey, another secret room! Look at that! That makes 3. Well, the third will be on the final stage, but... 1 up. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. 8 lives. Look at that. We're probably going to need them. Alright, we should be getting close to the end. Yeah, I think this is one of the last stretches, and then we have... yeah. It's be careful with these spiders. Very careful. Because wherever you attack them, wherever they die from, that's how long their sort of rope will be. And you have to climb on them in order to get past that section. Oh yeah, this is actually a pretty cool boss. I was surprised when I saw this. I mean, I saw this boss when I was a kid, when I first played this game, but I haven't played this game in so long. I forgot the majority of the game. And this is a pretty cool boss. I mean, for a Game Boy game, it's not too hard, because you can destroy his fireballs. Just like so. That's it. Alright, so now I think we're at Dracula's castle. Making pretty good progress. 31 minutes so far. Ugh, man. I'm recording this episode pretty early in the day. It's like 2 p.m., but I'm tired. I'm actually off work this week, in between jobs, and so normally I'm up really, really late till like 6 a.m. I don't normally get up till 2 p.m. But the last several days that I've been off, I've been trying to get up earlier, like between 9 and 11. So I'm recording videos at a time I'm normally not recording videos at, so... Little throwback there to the first Castlevania. Gives you a little map screen and shows you where the boss is. Now you got the sort of the boomerang guys from the first game are back, but they look like more like Grim Reapers or so. And so another familiar enemy from the first game makes a reappearance here. It's a little bit trickier to jump over their sickles. I don't think they were sickles in the first game. They literally just looked like boomerangs in the first one. But in this, they're obviously sickles. So... just kind of working my way through the game. I'm like, what should I talk about? I have no idea. Let's just keep playing the game in silence. That works too. Hey, look, another secret one. Man, I'm finding a lot of these now that I'm actually looking for them. That's, there's definitely more than I thought there would be. Which is pretty cool. Hey, look at that. Nice. Oh, shoot. That was my first death. Man, that was dumb. I could have totally avoided that. Ah, damn it. Alright, getting close to the boss. Now the first boss, I believe, is sort of a big-ass dragon. Yeah. Now, what's interesting about this boss is that the screen constantly moves, so you sort of have to keep moving with the screen, otherwise you'll get caught back and trapped by the boss. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. That's it. Once you know the pattern to him, it's actually not that hard. You really have to stay forward. If you stay back, you're going to get hit. I learned that the hard way yesterday when I was trying to beat this game again. To do this Let's Play. Yeah. Just push forward, you should be fine. Alright, last level, and 2 more bosses to go. So, it's basically just 1 more stage, then 2 bosses, and that's it. Assuming I can beat the second boss. Which I'm not holding my breath on that one. This music track kind of stinks. Not a huge fan of it. For a final stage, I was hoping that you'd have something a lot more energetic, like... How about like a Bloody Tears remake or something like that? I mean... for the very final level, but this is the kind of track you would have had on an earlier stage. I mean, going by earlier Castlevania games as examples, but I digress. So whenever I get to this part of the game, I'm just like, I don't really feel like playing anymore. That's just me, though. Alright, this part is kind of interesting. When you destroy this, you have to immediately run for the rope over there, otherwise you won't make it. So just like right now, run, jump. See, it actually falls too low for you to be able to reach the rope, so if you get stuck on that platform, you have to go back down the other rope, come back up, do it over again, and so forth. So, and I learned that one the hard way too. This one you don't actually have to worry about. You can just, you know, do whatever you want. Now we're actually close to the end of this stage already. I remember this part pretty well because when you get a game over, you have to start back off at the room I was just in. So that was like the main checkpoint if you got a game over. So we're actually not too far away. Oh. That was dumb. That was really careless. Careless. I can't even talk straight. What's new? I think this is actually the point of the video where I kind of just don't even feel like playing anymore. I actually, you know, these Game Boy versions, I really had to force myself to play. I actually was not planning on covering them when I wanted to do this Castlevania Let's Play Marathon. And so now I'm just kind of like, yeah. I mean, this is definitely the better of the two, but at this point in the game, I'm just like, I don't really care anymore. You know, it's that sort of feeling. I mean, at least it's not mind-numbingly difficult like, you know, the first Castlevania adventure. Because that game, you're not only fighting with, you know, kind of difficult segments, but you're fighting with very sluggish, sometimes unresponsive controls. And not only can you die from just not playing well, but you can die from the game screwing you over and not registering the button inputs properly. So it's like, that makes it extra frustrating. This one, fortunately, you don't have to really deal with that, but, you know, it's, I don't know. It's not as hard as the first game, at least in terms of the level structure, and not as intense, but, you know, maybe I'm just getting bored because the game's not as challenging in that sense as the first one, but... Alright, so there's going to be an extra life here, but you have to sort of plan this jump out accordingly. Otherwise the extra life will sort of fall through the platform. It doesn't actually land on the platform, unfortunately, so... Alright, now we're at the final stretch, and this boss is sort of, it's some other character in this game, that, you know, is a part of the main story, arc, but I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if the character is, like, related to Christopher Belmont, who I'm played as, or if it's just, like, another villain, or another friend, or something like that. I don't know, but I unfortunately don't have a box or manual for this game. So, you know, I haven't actually looked up, you know, the actual story or anything like that, so that's a little more foggy to me. But it is a boss kind of similar to the doppelganger from Castlevania III, where you basically fight yourself. Oh, that was bad. I'm going to have to redo that part. Fortunately, the spiders come back if you push them off the screen and then move back. Unfortunately, downed platforms... Oh, I did it again, man! I did it again. Alright, let's try this again. But yeah, like I was saying, this boss is similar to the doppelganger boss from Castlevania III. Alright, here we go. Now there's going to be some holy water here, but it's... yeah. Keep the axe if you fight this guy. It's easier. So I don't know if, like, that guy's your son, because he mentions father to you, or I don't know if he's talking about Dracula. Get sloppy! It worked. If you have full health, sometimes you can just tank and just go after the guy. It's sloppy, but he doesn't have a set pattern as far as I'm aware, and, you know, the first time you fight him, he will jump over you, but after that, it seems kind of random to me, and it's a tough boss. It's tricky. So I guess he's probably cursed or something like that, much like Richter was in Symphony of the Night. And I'm going to assume he's your son. I have no idea. And now we're at the final stage, which is not much of a stage, it's just a hallway, and then you fight Dracula. And since I've got the axe, I'm gonna try to use this. But unfortunately, they don't give you any secondary items. If you die, you have to go through this hallway again and again and again. Now, this Dracula battle is tough, so we'll see what happens here. I know there is some sweet spots to not get hit by him, but... oh, that was... God, that was awful. Like, that's a sweet spot. And that was not. This is a sweet spot right here. Whoa. Back to the sweet spot. You can just sit here like that. And that's my last axe, so I have to make these last few hits count. Beat him on my first try. We got totally lucky there, guys. That axe helped big time, because if you die, you don't have the axe, and... oh, jeez. That was the first time I've ever gotten to him and beat him on my first try. Every other time I've gotten to him, it's taken me like 2 or 3 continues to do it. But again, you know, you die right away, you lose your axe, you don't have that projectile, which makes that battle really, really tough. Alright guys, well, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap it up here. Again, this was Castlevania II for the Game Boy, or Castlevania Adventure 2, whichever you'd like to call it. I'll leave you guys with the ending, the super slow and sluggish ending that goes on forever. But stay tuned for more Castlevania Let's Plays. Remember, all this month of October, I will be doing lots of Castlevania Let's Plays, so stay tuned. So with that, guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching again, and I'll catch you guys soon. Take care.